Alright, let's go. This is game number 1, clear path number 1, and I'm going to be showing you the clear paths I like to take in order of which ones I use the most to which ones I use the least. So this right here is the clear path that I try and get almost every single time because it puts so much pressure on the enemy jungler. So what you'll see me doing here is walking straight up into the enemy top side. Why? Because I want to take the enemy jungler shit away from them. I want to take the XP, I want to take their gold, I want to put them behind right from level 1. I want to get that jungle diff early. And how are you going to do that? You're going to do that by getting control over their side, over their jungle. So I'm chilling in this bush right here. You can see right now I'm pinging my Garen to go fuck off. I don't want no one in this area because I don't want the enemy team seeing them and then thinking, oh man, I might be invading, right? I want this to be as secretive as possible. I don't want them to know that I'm taking their camps. So you might be thinking, oh, is this a low elo tech? This is something that only works in low elo. Well, let me tell you, you're right. This is definitely something that works in low elo because none of the solo laners give a shit about what's happening in the jungle. They don't care. So you can just walk up into the enemy jungle, and most of the time the solo laners are going to be chilling in their lane because they're not bothered about what's happening in the jungle. They're not going to be protecting the buff. They're not going to be warding the jungle. It's just you against the enemy jungler. And if you walk up into their jungle, most of the time you can get some sort of lead or some sort of idea what's happening in their jungle and start to take camps if you see no one there. If you see people there, cool, that's fine. Just back off into your blue. That's cool. You didn't lose anything. You got vision on where they started now, so you know which camps they're starting at, okay? What about high elo then? Well, let me tell you, I got to high diamond and master just from using this as my main clear path. And how does it work? Well, this is a sort of high elo game, and look what's happening on the map. The solo laners don't give a shit. Why? Because they want prio over the wave, over the enemy solo laner. They want to be in their lane. They want to get that level 1 prio. And again, they don't give a shit about what's happening in the jungle. Some games you'll get the solo laners warding the enemy jungle, giving a bit of vision, standing there to protect the buff. But in that case, you can always just fall back, like I said before, to your blue buff. You didn't lose anything. This has worked for me almost every single time I start on blue side, which is why I love starting on blue side. I love taking this clear, starting their enemy red buff, because red buff is so powerful. I'll talk about it later on. But just remember this, if any one of their team sees you in their jungle level 1, they're not going to be thinking, oh, let's kill them straight away. Let's go. Let's collapse. No, they're going to be thinking, is more of my team there? Is more of my team waiting? Because they're not going to assume that you've just walked up straight into their jungle just by yourself. Jungle v jungle, it's all chess game. It's all mind game. You got to think, what are they thinking? And they're not going to be thinking, yo, let's go. So you got to assert yourself. You got to put that pressure on. Okay, so let's go to the actual clear now. What am I doing? Am I starting with that buff? No, I'm actually starting with the Raptors. And if you're any AoE jungler, I highly recommend starting with the small camp, the Raptors. Wolves, we'll talk about later on. But I'm starting Raptors over here. And look at this ward that I put down. I'm going to talk about that ward in more detail later on. But I put a ward right there after I took the Raptors. Why did I take Raptors first? Because I get level 2 so fast. It only took me less than 10 seconds to clear those Raptors. I get level 2. I get stats from leveling up. I get my second ability. And the other main benefit of doing this is that you can now path topside and clear the camps very quickly. If you start red buff, most of the time what people do is to take red buff, Krugs, Raptors, and it takes long time walking between these camps, right? You have to walk up to Krugs, then you have to walk all the way down to Raptors. You've wasted time. In this game, time is money. In real life, time is money. But yeah, in this game, time is money over the enemy jungler. Time is XP over the enemy jungler. If you clear these camps right in an order like that, you've saved a lot of time and you're in a good position to do what I'm going to talk about next. So you can see I'm leashing the camps. This is pretty standard. I'm leashing the camps to the next camp I'm going to take. And another reason why this clear is so good is because you get the enemy team's red buff. And red buff is so big. Red buff is by far the most important factor in jungle when it comes to ganking over the enemy jungler. If you've got red buff and they don't have red buff, you've got extra slow, you've got extra burn damage, you've got health regen. All of these things add up when you're ganking, and it makes ganking so much easier, right? So think about it. You've taken their red buff off the map. Their jungler isn't going to have access to red buff now, and my red buff is still on the map. So I can take their red buff and then take my red buff at a later point. It's such a huge win. Now your gank potential is so high, and you're going to see that now. So what am I doing here? I'm pathing towards top side, and before the game even starts or when we load into the game, I'm going to be telling my top laner, look, I'm going to start their top side. I'm going to give you a gank level 3, right? I'm just going to say level 3 gank. because you've got that red buff. You want to be starting to make ganks now. So you've gone from Raptors, red buff, Krugs. Next step is you've got that red buff. Can you kill this enemy top laner 2v1 with red buff? What do you think? Well, the answer in this case is clearly a no, because the Jax is basically full HP. He's got ability that just blocks all damage, and he's got a jump that can get him to safety if he needs to, right? This gank is never going to work. And if you showed to make this gank happen, you're going to ruin all of the surprise that you've just built up, because they don't know you're there at the moment. As soon as you show on the map, the enemy jungler knows where you are, the enemy team knows where you are, then they can start reacting around that and taking your camps, right? So you don't want to do that. You don't want to show unless you think this is it, this is good, this is a gank, this is a good gank angle right now, right? So what am I going to do here? I'm going to go for that gank after Krugs.
Yo, real quick, I went and bought a writing pad just for this video. So like, if you're liking this video, please like and subscribe. You know how it is.
No, right? Wasted a little bit of time there, but I had a little think. I'm like, no, just reset. And resetting after this is so good, because you've just taken all three of those camps straight away. Reset. And now look, I buy my favorite item of the whole game. I've got my Dark Seal. I got my Dark Seal ready to stack the bookies. And watch this brand now, right? Remember that ward I put down? Remember that ward I put down right after the Raptors were taken? Look at all these pings on the map. Look at all these pings going off on the map. And that's such a big reason why I love this clear path so much, is because the enemy jungler gets clowned so much over the core. Look at all those pings going off. We're all laughing at this brand because this brand is now walking into nothing on his top side of the jungle, right? And he doesn't know that, but he has to go and scout everything out because it's all missing. So what happens next? What happens next is really big. Again, remember what I said, it's all a game of chess, right? What do you think this brand is going to do next? He can either gank top or gank mid, or invade my blue side, right? You could also go for my red buff, but that's crossing the whole map and it's a bit long to do, right? The easiest option for this brand is to gank top, because he's going to walk here, and depending on where he walks, you can see he walked upwards, right? If he walks upwards over here, then he's ganking top. If he walks down over here, then he's either ganking mid or going into your jungle, right? So watch what happens after they pass this ward. And this is all this, you're gaining so much information just from walking into their jungle level 1 and doing this, right? This is why this is such a good clear, and I really recommend it, right? So he walked upwards. So my pings are going to start to go off. In the voice chat, I'm already telling you, look, watch out, watch out. You can see the pings are starting to go off already. But he knows. And I've told him so many times he knows. So watch what happens now. Giga Chad Garen does his thing. Bam. Never in doubt. Look at that. And this brand is so far behind now, right? It's so far behind. I'm clearing my camps because I can always fall back on all my camps. And look at that. Garen was recalling right there. But what did I do? On voice, I was like, nah. I've got red buff still. Let's make things happen. Because that brand just showed. That brand just died topside. Now he's going to walk bot because he's got nothing topside no more. He's going to have to walk bot to get his camps. We've got such big advantage now with this red buff. Let's make something happen. And you can see at this point, we've just hard diffed the jungle right now. Look at that. Easy dub. And now our top lane and myself is in such a huge lead, right? That was such a good game of chess we played there, right? So I'm going to talk about a few things before I end this clear path. Some things that are important to consider during this invade. So just pay attention to this because it's quite important. If you're doing this invade, the two main things you have to think about: control over the enemy jungle, which side you're invading, and control over your side of the jungle. And arguably control over your side of the jungle is most important over here, because you really want to be able to fall back on your camps and know where that enemy jungle is going, if he's invading or not, right? How do you get control of your side of the jungle when you're invading? Well, you need to tell your team to ideally stand by your buffs and protect the buffs, right? If they're watching the buffs, then you can avoid this situation happening to you of them invading, because they know they're going to be there, right? If they're invading, let's say they're invading bot, you then know to vertical jungle instead of resetting, right? Instead of resetting or going back to your red buff. But what do I do over here? And Rebellious Rebel, he plays with me a lot. He knows the tech already. You gotta get them to put a ward. You gotta get them to put a ward on your buff over there. Because once the solo lane is dip, you don't know what's going to happen in your side of the jungle. You need to know whether you're getting invaded or not. So you can see that ward at my red buff right there. That helps me know if that brand is going to vertical jungle me or not. Because if he vertical jungle me, it's a whole different story. I need to then keep up with him and vertical jungle from his red to my blue to keep up in golden XP, right? He's not going to walk over that ward that I put down in his top side. And if he doesn't walk over that ward, I have no idea where he is unless they put a ward in my jungle so that I know if he's invading or not, right? If you don't see him walk over that ward, he's either gone down bot to gank bot, in which case I'm telling bot, you know, be safe, or he's gone into my jungle. And if he goes into my jungle, that is such a good opportunity to get all your team to collapse on him because you put a ward there, you know, look, let's get him, let's make this happen. So yeah, this is all about where to start, how to clear, and how to react to what the enemy jungler is doing, because you can get such a big lead. Just the first 3 levels, really pay attention in the first 3 levels, because this is what makes a huge jungle diff or not a huge jungle diff, okay? Especially with this clear path, it's a lot of playing the game, right? It's a lot of playing the chess game, playing the mind games, but that's how you do it, right? So that was clear path number 1. I'm going to make all of these clear paths separately because it takes me so much time to get through this, and I'm working a 9 to 5. I've got so much other commitments going on. My mental has been too great lately, but I've, you know, been trying to keep it together. I've been trying to put this content out there because you guys gave me such a big support on my first Dino video that I made, and I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for everyone that's gone on that video, watched it, left a like, left a sub. It really means a lot to me, and I'm planning on making more content like this further down the line. So once all these clear paths are done, I'll compile them all together and make a big clear path guide in one video. But yeah, this is by far my favorite clear path. I really recommend it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this helps with your early jungling, getting that jungle diff early on in the game. Leave a sub, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you around for clear path number 2 when I get around to it. Peace.